hardest task in life is to carve a living out of leftist or progressive journalism. Just ask the Guardian newspaper. So the next best thing is to play dress up. The best masquerader in recent times has been the New Statesman magazine. Admittedly, I would regularly consume the contributions of Will Self, not because I understood a sentence he had constructed. I just felt smarter by virtue of gazing upon his written words. And I just love how Will Self forces everyone within his orbit to step up their penmanship. Just look at this snippet from his Wikipedia entry. Self was a voracious reader from a young age. Who writes that about a child? Anyway, the New Statesman may have been founded by leading members of the Fabian Society, but the magazine now has Andrew Marr as political editor, the same Andrew Marr that had this interaction with Noam Chomsky.
Because it suggests that, amateurs, people like me, are self-censoring.
No, not self-censoring. There's a filtering system that starts in kindergarten and goes all the way through. And it doesn't work 100%, but it's pretty effective. And it's perfectly true that I'm sure you're speaking for the majority of journalists who are trained, have it driven into their heads that this is a crusading profession, adversarial, we stand up against power, a very self-serving view. On the other hand, in my opinion, I hate to make a value judgment, but the better journalists, and in fact the ones who are often regarded as the best journalists, have quite a different picture, and I think a very realistic one.
How can you know that I'm self-censoring? How can you know that journalists are self-censoring?
I'm sure you believe everything you're saying. But what I'm saying is if you believe something different, you wouldn't be sitting where you're sitting.
And the publication will print articles like this about Sir Keir Rodney Starmer's Labour manifesto. And it's no secret how I feel about Sir Keir Rodney Starmer.
I hate the way that you walk, the way that you talk, I hate the way that you dress.
So allow me to present to you my problem with the New Statesman magazine. Founded by married couple Sydney and Beatrice Webb, a pairing that screams high society because they were a baron and baroness. However, they were also the bleeding heart types, so advanced socialist values wherever possible. Known for supporting Joseph Stalin until their deaths, it begs the question why they joined the Fabian Society in the first place. By all accounts, the Fabian Society believes in advancing the principles of democratic socialism, but only through engaging with an electoral system that is designed and maintained by capitalists.
Not a great plan. The
organization can be proud to name Tony Benn as a past member, but that is aggressively cancelled out by the membership of Anthony Blair, Gordon Brown, Ed Balls, and Wes Streeting currently being the vice chair. Tell me you are a capitalist Trojan horse without telling me you are a capitalist Trojan horse. But this criticism from the left is not new to the Fabian Society. Vladimir Lenin had these choice words for the group, and Leon Trotsky gave this delectable takedown of the silly little club of rich people playing socialists. I would be a fool to not mention that early published work showed that the Fabian Society had support for eugenics, literal Hitler. And despite not being fans of revolutionary overthrows, they supported British military action during the Boer War. But this makes sense since Fabian socialists simply wanted to reform the British Empire and not dismantle it completely. These people are clowns. But what does this have to do with the New Statesman today? A lot. Let's just say the Fabian Society buffoonery has spread to associated journals. The New Statesman magazine is a weekly publication that saw a total circulation of 43,230 in 2023. It is self-described as holding liberal and progressive political positions. Back in the day, editor Kingsley Martin held various stances against Joseph Stalin and Leon Trotsky. This kind of versatility is unmatched. Moving into more modern times, they have allowed guest editors such as Alistair Campbell, Ken Livingstone, Jemima Khan, and the Archbishop of Canterbury at the time, Rowan Williams. The most controversial editor might have been Russell Brand in 2013. Serious allegations aside, it was never a good idea to employ someone that enjoyed trying to tell an old man that you slept with his granddaughter. Also, who talks about a genuine revolution when getting contributions from Noel Gallagher, Amanda Palmer, and Alec Baldwin? In 2019, the magazine took a neutral position in the general election, which makes them spineless freaks, and wrongfully spread reports of Noam Chomsky dying in June 2024. I have no proof for this, but this had to be spearheaded by Andrew Marr.
I'm sure you believe everything you're saying. But what I'm saying is if you believe something different, you wouldn't be sitting where you're sitting.
Anyway, I'm here to speak about this shameless exercise in political illiteracy. Jeremy Corbyn is sharing an image with Keir Starmer, J.K. Rowling, Tony Blair, and Rachel Reeves. The list is made up of 50 people who apparently influence progressive politics. There was actually a New Statesman panel that put together this diabolical list. Diving into the article itself, I have no problem with how they define power, but the qualifications to be included on the list are a bit broad. At this point, you might as well include anyone that has said a positive thing about the NHS. Keep this definition in mind as I take you through my highlights of the list. Buckle up, you are about to witness some nefarious logic bending by the writers of this article. Topping the list is an Irish fellow named Morgan McSweeney, who is responsible for getting Sir Keir Rodney Starmer elected as Labour leader, which should automatically qualify him for recruitment to the Phantom Zone. McSweeney didn't believe the Labour membership was Corbynite. So what were these 10 pledges that got Keir elected leader? Morgan targeted Leave supporters in Conservative seats won in 2019 by giving them what Jeremy Corbyn was offering before Remainers like Keir got their claws in Brexit. In an article titled The Left Power List, there seems to be an admiration that McSweeney banished left-wingers and installed puppets for the general election. Can that be classified as affiliation to the left? Answers on a postcard. Sir Keir Starmer is number 2. The stiffs at the New Statesman believe it will be the ultimate vindication if Starmer wins the 2024 general election. What are they huffing over there? Keir is still too uninspiring, and winning the next election will be the result of people voting against the Tories. Rachel Reeves and Angela Rayner feature on the list 3rd and 4th respectively. Sue Gray, Chief of Staff for Sir Keir Rodney Starmer, is number 5. And now we start to see why this list is completely meaningless. David Lammy is number 6. Yeah, let's mention some bullshit about progressive realism and how David is friends with Obama and close with Macron. Let's completely ignore his awful observations of the Gaza genocide.
You have your last chance to explain to the people of Tottenham, as a foreign policy expert, why you are supporting Israel's war.
It takes real talent to add Wes Streeting at number 8, say he is a gifted communicator, and admit more privatisation is on the way for the NHS. Andy Burnham sits at number 11, make it make sense. Winning a 3rd term as Mayor of Greater Manchester, Andy is the most successful current politician on the list and should be respected as such. Tony Blair pops up at number 12 like a bad case of the clap. Saying that war criminal Tony has been welcomed back into the Labour Party after rightfully being exiled by Jeremy Corbyn is not the flex you think it is. Former Labour leader Ed Miliband is at number 15, holding a brief that nobody in the Labour Party cares about, a fitting job for a Starmer bootlicker. The twat that curated the mission-led approach for Keir Starmer is on the list at number 20, and of course, he is a Blairite. J.K. Rowling enters at number 25. I presume J.K. is on the list because she donated to Labour in 2008. J.K. now thinks about trans women more than the Mermaid charity. Ignoring the Holocaust denial, J.K. recently advocated for voters to support the Communist Party, which sounds really left-wing, but then you realise the Communist Party is just as reactionary as J.K. Anyone that thinks about human genitals this much much should be put on a separate list or be interrogated at a CIA black site. But JK's inclusion gives me the same feeling as seeing George Galloway at number 30. Bad Mouse already explained why Mr. Galloway is not a genuine leftist.
Now, can you think of someone who espouses right-wing rhetoric and standards to bolster their own base whilst claiming to be nominally socialist? He's in the thumbnail.
Something is rotten in the state of Britain.
Supporting Palestine does not make you a leftist. At the very least, it just makes you human. Also, Andrew Tate supports Palestine, so where is he on this list? George already showed us how much of a reactionary he was when he stopped by Novara Media for a friendly chat. The current Archbishop of Canterbury and former oil executive Justin Welby is on the list at number 27. There are 3 important things to remember in life. Never ask a woman her age, a man his salary, and Justin what he thinks of the Israel-Palestine conflict. Gary Lineker, Alistair Campbell, and Catherine Viner could be described as people who officially sit outside being politicians, but have tremendous reach nonetheless. Whether this is within progressive circles is another question. Jeremy Corbyn's entry at number 39, along with Carla Denyer at number 50, are the only admissions that give this list any credibility as anything being described as left-leaning. Both Jeremy and Carla should be higher on the list considering their limited resources and large reach, especially Mr. Corbyn. Jeremy may not influence Labour policy anymore, but he definitely influences Labour behaviour. Keir Starmer can't keep Jeremy's name out of his mouth.
I didn't vote for him to be leader in 2016. I supported other candidates, but our membership returned him as the leader.
Plus, Jeremy managed to encourage Peter Mandelson out of his tomb and interact with the common folk again, just to stop his election as an independent.
I do not think now that Jeremy Corbyn is likely to be elected. I found on the doorstep overwhelming recognition of and support for Praful Nagrund, the Labour candidate.
A few moments later.
Demonising refugees, demonising people from other countries won't solve those problems. The only way we solve the problems of our community is by uniting our communities. And our campaign was utterly determined to bring that degree of unity to it.
Jeremy knew how to recruit actual leftists for support and inspire local activists.
Let's make history here in Islington North on July the 4th.
Compared this independent grassroots movement to this liberal parachuted Labour Party machine private healthcare advocate attempting to dethrone the local lover boy. Finally, I want to emphasise the entry of Owen Jones at number 45. At this point, the most simple political observation is not based within this reality. To assert that Owen Jones will only continue to have influence on progressive policies if candidates like Jeremy Corbyn are elected is very laughable. Owen Jones has over 500,000 subscribers on YouTube, whereas the New Statesman has 125,000 subscribers. Only one channel will have any real influence over leftist politics. This article must be part of some sort of humiliation ritual. Never have I seen a group of journalists destroy any sense of leftist credentials with such gusto. You can't even blame it on misguidance anymore. It has to be the nature of the New Statesman magazine. To call something a left power list, then fill the list with cabinet members and their party aides is peak tomfoolery. I don't know who needs to hear this, but being within the Labour Party does not automatically affiliate you with the left. Nobody from the cabinet wants to challenge the economic status quo or harbours anything that resembles social democratic principles. I'm surprised everyone's favourite liberal, James O'Brien, wasn't included on the list. The pro-Remain advocate has 1.46 million weekly listeners on LBC and 1.2 million followers on Twitter at the time of writing this video. I'm not saying including James would improve the list, but it does show a lack of consistency on the part of the New Statesman because Gary Lineker is present. Anyway, safe to say the New Statesman has jumped the shark. and should not be taken as any serious authority on what constitutes left of centre, and they cannot be allowed to redefine what it means to be a leftist. They are a threat to socialism and the working class.
So the Labour Party got their landslide. It's going to be interesting to see a party with absolute power do everything to help rich people extract more money from the economy and ensure the status quo remains for the working class. And of course the New Statesman and the Guardian will be there for Keir Starmer, no matter what he does, just gobbling those nuts. Num 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 num. Other highlights or lowlights from the election night, depending on your perspective. Jeremy Corbyn retained his seat.
Well, the lesson is that people are appalled when they see the pictures of the destruction of Gaza.
The Green Party have 4 seats. The SNP completely collapsed in Scotland. The Liberal Democrats made historic gains. And the openly fascist party obtained 5 seats. And the first past the post system continues to show why it is so ridiculous. Also, this landslide is an illusion because Keir failed to get more votes than Jeremy Corbyn, despite the country being an absolute dumpster fire. But we shouldn't complain too much. We have said goodbye to a government that enjoyed punching us in the face daily, and it has been replaced by a government that will only punch us on weekends. Anyway, tell me your thoughts down in the comments below. Don't forget to like the video, hit that subscribe button, and if you're feeling extra generous, please check out my Patreon account. I will be back soon with another video. Until that time, ciao!